Hello, Dr. Karen here. Welcome to this week's Spiritual Medicine Digest called Feel It or Release It. Now, before we go on, would love to remind you, in case you are new to my channel, would love you to hit the subscribe button and perhaps the notification bell so every time I do a new video, you will be notified. And also, as a reminder, this year's theme is illumination, revelation, really looking at the light and shadow sides of our existence and our experience, and really coming to terms with the fact that both these polarities are actually part of the same whole. So today we're going to be talking about the emotional realm. The emotional realm, yes. So, in many different healing modalities, including my own TOLPAKAN healing method, we have a system, a methodology of releasing and getting rid of, if you will, or deleting, dissolving, and uncreating negative emotions, whether that be sadness or grief or resentment or whatever it is that we may be experiencing in the moment. And that sounds good on paper, right? Great, we have negative emotion. Let's just go ahead and delete it and erase it. However, there is a bias that should always be the case, that we should always be able to release so-called negative emotions, those things that we judge as negative emotions. Maybe we watched the 2006 movie The Secret and we said, oh my goodness, we need to not do the negative emotional thing because then we'll manifest negative things in our life, right? I mean, they simplified the law of attraction almost to the point of like overly simplified. But there is hidden gems in the emotions, hidden gems. So the things that we have judged as dark, and as we, try to like get away from the negative emotions or clear the negative emotions, there are hidden gems in the darkness. Now, one would always say, well, I shouldn't say would always, but often say that if someone's loved one died, like my dad died recently, that it would be quote unquote normal and appropriate to grieve, to have so-called negative emotions of sadness, missing, missing him, that kind of thing. Most people would be like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, your dad died recently. How you doing?" Like, if I cried, if I whatever. I mean, it would be like normal, right? However, we often will judge negative emotions when we think we shouldn't have them, when it seems to be out of context. So here's another example. Perhaps there's some things that you're seeing on the internet or politically that really want to make you scream. Or you're really having a very difficult conversation with someone because they see things completely opposite to you. Now what? Do we try to get rid of those emotions? Maybe, and maybe that's appropriate. But what if there are some emotions that you judge as bad, perhaps, or negative, and you want to get rid of them and they don't go away? Does that mean there's something wrong with you? Does that mean you're not so good on your technique? Does that mean that you should be doing better TOLPAKAN healing or something like that? I'm here to say no. No. There is a saying, one of the wealth coaches that I had a long, long time ago said, over, under, around, or through, whatever it takes, I'll do. I'm going to change that a little bit to say that sometimes, in order to get to the other side of the hidden gem, you have to go through. You have to go through. In Paul Levy's book on Dreaming the Watigo, he talks about that underworld journey. Many of us are not taught or equipped to appreciate the depth and the healing and the evolution of that darkness journey emotionally. However, if we come at it from a different point of view and honor our negative emotions, perhaps just going through them is actually the healing. So instead of being so quick to erase, dissolve, and uncreate negative emotions because it feels uncomfortable and you want to get rid of it, right? Perhaps just sitting in it, knowing full well that it's not going to last forever. In fact, I tell my students sometimes, whether they're in my Unlock Your Superpowers program or in my more advanced TOPAKAN Level 2 program, sometimes you can just choose, consciously choose to feel whatever you're feeling. And my tip is to feel it in the body. Oftentimes, when we have negative emotions, thoughts are going on and on and on, repetitive thoughts. And then we never really go to the other side. In order to process emotions, it may be much, much faster to actually feel it in the body. Can feel scary and dangerous if you're not used to it, right? A lot of us are in our heads, myself included. And it's been quite a practice over the years to actually be in the body. In my Sensitivity is Your Superpower book, I talk about having watched a very scary movie. And the first time I watched the movie, I was so scared seeing those scenes over and over in my mind's eye that I could not sleep properly for 3 days. I lost so much sleep because I was so scared. And then, of course, I decided to watch, I shouldn't say of course, but for me, of course, I had to see what happened, right? So I watched the sequel of the scary movie and fully prepared to not sleep for another 3 days. I decided, well, none of the other ways that I tried to get rid of the negative emotion worked. No healing, no meditation, no chanting, no progressive relaxation, no yoga, nothing was working. So I thought, I'm just going to be scared. I'm just going to be scared. And then I tuned into my body, and all of a sudden it was like the door opened, and I did not realize until that moment what the body was feeling while I was scared. It was like the heart was beating so fast and so great. I thought I was shaking the bed. I was at night going, whoa, what's going on here? Right? It's like I had a whole bunch of caffeine or speed or something. I was like so jazzed up. There was so much energy running in my body. And I was so fascinated with the body's feelings that I quickly fell asleep and slept well. Did not go through that again. So that was me going through, in this case, fear through the body. So perhaps overwhelm is a very common thing for us sensitive souls to go through, right? So we try to get rid of it. We don't want to feel overwhelmed. It feels overwhelming. So what if we felt it in the body, just sat there and allowed ourselves the time? And this is what I tell some of my students, like, set your timer if you want to, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is you want, and really just sit there in the feeling and notice the body in the feeling, whatever that emotion is. Allow yourself the grace of going deep into the grief. Cry your eyes out, sob, get angry. When, if I decide and choose consciously to go into an anger response, I often will go out in nature because nature can handle that negative energy, right? I don't necessarily want to infect my space with that very vibrant negative energy. So I'll go outside and I will say to my angels, my God team, the fairies, the nature Davis, I'm like, guys, I'm going into 5 minutes of conscious anger here. I'm going to rant and I'm just going to give it to you guys for transmutation. Okay, you ready? Right? It's not going to hurt them. So they're prepared, you're prepared. I'm prepared. I go outside and I go ahead and I'm consciously ranting. Yeah, I'll go out and I'll consciously rant to the point of I'm like, beyond 2 minutes, I'm like, well, it's exhausting. Because I've really honored and allowed myself to rant and be angry. And then I get to the other side, feeling that in my body, that energy. And sometimes that's why people continue to get angry because they get a boost, whether that be self righteousness and feeling like this energy in the body. It can be really addictive. So one does have to be a little bit discerning and conscious around that. So can you imagine yourself consciously sitting in a room, bawling your eyes out, sitting in a room, just feeling the overwhelm in the body? You're sitting outside on a log or walking through the snow and just shouting. Now, of course, if you're too loud, your neighbors might call the cops, but you know what I mean, right? Or maybe you just feel it in the body without even saying a word. Sometimes the only way to the end of the tunnel is through the discomfort. So that, my friends, is the yin and the yang, the dark and the light of the emotions. Negative emotions are not necessarily bad. They can actually be fuel for our transformation if we allow it to be. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I'd love to hear your comments below. And let's go ahead and do a little TOLPAKAN healing now. In this case, the activation is around that acceptance and self-acceptance of the energy being grounded in the body with whatever emotions you choose to feel. In this case, we're not purposely getting rid of any negative emotions. Okay, so if you want to join me, you can just make the intention to receive the TOLPAKAN Healing Activation. Let's get into stillness. Stillness through observing internal movement. I like to move the body, get some heat going, that pays attention to the body. Relax, close your eyes if it's safe for you to do so. I'm going to speak the TOLPAKAN Healing Directive, and you just continue noticing your body's feelings, the energy, the waves, the tingles going through the body. Here we go. I now command that anything preventing us from being fully willing to accept, honor, and love our emotions, including those we previously judged as negative or unwanted, be healed immediately with ease, speed, and grace in the highest and best way at all directions of time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I now command that our willingness and ability to fully connect and ground in our bodies, even while we're feeling uncomfortable emotions, be healed, be loved, our energetic relationship with all the so-called negative emotions enhanced and optimized, ease, speed, and grace in the highest and best way, all directions of time, in the highest and best way. Thank you. Take a breath in and out. Again, would love to hear your comments below. Feel free to comment, what did that TOLPAKAN Healing Activation do for you, if anything? Could you feel it in the body? Were you able to get in the body? And, let me know what your perceptions are around negative emotions, how you've handled it in the past, how you're handling it now, and whether or not what we've chatted about today is helpful for you. I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Much love. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you resonate with this video, would love for you to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and perhaps share it with someone that you love. In the meantime, would love to connect with you more deeply in my Light Medicine community. It's a private community that is free to join, and that's where us sensitive souls get together. We learn, we support each other, we share stories, and it's a really beautiful, safe space to be in. So I'd love to connect with you there. I'll put the link below this video as well as this week's offerings. All right, we'll see you there. Much love.